What's going on YouTube? It's Tom here and we're back with another video today. This video is long overdue. This has been going on since November, right around Black Friday, I believe. So this is going to be 8Cr13MoV in depth. The idea for this video originated from a lost bet on the Sharp Talk podcast. If you guys aren't familiar with Sharp Talk, that is a podcast between myself, Outpost 76, and Alex, or his YouTube channel is Alex's Knife Box. If you guys haven't checked him out, by the way, go check him out. But anyhow, we have a podcast every 2 weeks where we talk about knives and what's going on in the knife community and just different topics related to that. And we almost always have a guest on. So if that sounds like something that you guys would be interested in, go check it out. It's on all the major platforms that you can find podcasts, and it's also live. So we do it every other Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, and it's just at Sharp Talk on Twitch. So with that out of the way, I lost a bet on Sharp Talk that I was supposed to carry this knife in 8Cr13 for 3 weeks, I believe. I didn't quite get to the 3 weeks, and we'll talk about that. And this knife was also a gift from Jack Farmboy. Supposedly, this 8Cr13MoV in this Honey Badger is some of the best 8Cr out there, from what I was told. So he sent this along to me free of charge. So thank you, Jack, for sending this along. Go check out Jack's channel as well. And it was just cool to get this knife in hand. I've never handled a Honey Badger before, and I'm pretty impressed with it, honestly, for the money. This is one of the better budget knives I think that is out there right now. So 8Cr gets a lot of hate for being a barely adequate budget steel. A lot of companies use it. You guys pretty much know up until the past year or two, all the Chinese companies really use this. Now they're kind of moving on to D2, then that 9Cr stuff that Civivi uses. But 8Cr13MoV is still pretty common out there in knives less than $50 or so. Let's talk about the composition of it a little bit. 0.7 to 0.8% carbon, 0.1 to 0.25% vanadium, 13 to 14.5% chromium, so it is a stainless steel. 0.1 to 0.3% moly, 1% manganese, 0.2% nickel, and 1% silicon. So not a whole lot of anything in there. The only meaningful amount of anything is really the chromium, and so that makes it stainless. And then a little bit of vanadium is kind of interesting. That should give it a little bit better edge retention, or maybe it's just grain refinement in this. There might not be a significant enough amount to form any vanadium carbides. So first off, let's talk about corrosion resistance with this steel. I really had no issues with this. It never rusted or anything. I was carrying it indoors. I wasn't really sweating while I was carrying it. I have seen other people's knives in 8Cr rust pretty bad though. So 8Cr definitely has some rust issues from what I've seen, but personally I've had no issues with it. We're going to go ahead and move on to sharpening then. It's not a secret. 8Cr sharpens really great, and it takes a very, very keen edge. There's really no carbide content in this whatsoever, so it's very fine grained and can be sharpened by a variety of stones and methods. Basically, you can pick whatever you have laying around and pretty much sharpen it. It's not too picky, which is good for people that aren't super into all the super steels and stuff like that. So I did carry this for an extended period of time. It was only 8 days because that's all I could take with 8Cr, with how much I was using my knife at the time. And let's talk about that use over the 8 days. So the first edge only lasted 1 full day for me. So the 1 full day was I cut or opened 35 small boxes, 2 medium boxes, 2 large boxes, and cut 83 feet of cardboard. After that, it was completely dull. I couldn't cut paper with it. It wouldn't bite into anything. It was just toast. So I went ahead and resharpened it. Normal grit progression, 200 to 1000 grit diamonds, 16 and 4 micron CBN on leather. So all of this next use comes off of the second edge. I do have to note that it was on the factory edge when I got it from Jack, but I sharpened it before I took it anywhere and used it. So the next edge, I opened 65 small boxes, 4 medium boxes, 11 large boxes, and cut 79 feet of cardboard. During that week, we were getting our trucks for Black Friday with all of our product and stuff on it. So there was a lot of box opening with this. Now let me say that when I say that this thing went dull, I'm talking about the entire edge. So on this one, about halfway through, let's see here, after about 40 boxes or so, I have a note here that the tip was dull. So basically from right here up to the very tip was dull because that's what I use to open boxes, obviously. But the rest of the edge was still acceptable, still cutting everything just fine. I did strop it during that, and it helped the edge a tiny bit, but it still had a bunch of spots of deformation all along the edge. Basically, once that front portion of the edge deformed, it was done. There was really nothing else you could do to it. So this thing really got put to use in this week or so that I carried it. This amount of use would normally take 2 or 3 weeks over the normal course of the year, but just so happened that I decided to carry this during Black Friday week, and it got used hard. So after all of that, I stopped carrying it, and I just started to do edge retention tests on it. I wanted to wrap this whole in-depth thing up on 8Cr. I did 2 edge retention tests on this, and the reasoning for that was I freehand sharpened it not too long ago. I really wanted to see how my freehand edges held up compared to my wicked edges. So I tested it once freehand, and the progression for the freehand edge was a DMT coarse, fine, and extra fine, and then 16 and 4 micron CBN on leather. So the freehand edge did 110 feet of cardboard. So it's better than the last 8Cr I did. I think that was the Kershaw Atmos. I think it did 83 feet. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure that's right though, 83 feet. So then I went ahead and resharpened it on my wicked edge, 18 degrees per side, 200 through 1000 grit diamond, 16 and 4 micron CBN on leather. And the edge off my wicked edge did 114.13 feet. So basically identical, well within that 10% range. And just goes to show that I proved to myself that my freehand edges will hold up damn close to what my edges on the wicked edge will. So that was more for my own doing, to see how each edge held up to each other. But we got 2 edge retention tests out of it, so 2 data points, which was pretty cool. So I really wasn't going to end up doing any of the edge stability tests like I do on some of the other in-depth stuff because it's just 8Cr. But I decided to anyhow. If I'm going to do an in-depth video, I might as well, do the edge stability tests. So for edge stability, I test it with zip ties. I put 10 zip ties on a broomstick, and then basically wedge the knife up underneath of that, and then kind of twist it out, trying to stress the apex out as much as I can, popping those zip ties off, because people are always saying that they cut more zip ties than they do cardboard at work, and to test on zip ties so they can kind of see how everything holds up. So that's just why I throw it in the in-depth tests. But I did the 10 zip ties as you guys just saw on the screen, and I saw 0 edge damage whatsoever. So that tells me if 8Cr is taking 0 edge damage, any other steel that I do this in-depth stuff for, it really shouldn't take any damage whatsoever. That 10 zip ties isn't really a good test of edge stability, I guess. If your basic budget steel can take it, pretty much anything else should be able to, unless it's heat treated like shit. Then I wasn't going to do the impact toughness either, but I decided, once again, I might as well just do it if we're going this far. The impact toughness test is packing staples in cardboard, and basically I just slam the edge down into it as hard as I can and see what kind of deformation pops up. So after doing that I did it with 2 instead of 4 because I just had a very small section of edge that hadn't been used quite yet. I had very, very minor rolling, as you guys are seeing in the picture on the screen right now. Very, very impressed actually with the impact toughness of it. There was way less edge deformation than what I figured there was going to be. I thought I might see some big, maybe not chips, but big rolls and big dents out of the edges. Very impressed with how this 8Cr held up with that. So coming to a conclusion here, 8Cr13 is a decent steel overall if you're a pretty light user. When I say light user, I mean like opening a couple packages a week maybe. It'll last you a decent amount of time. If you're like me and you do any sort of, if you use your knife any significant amount, 8Cr probably isn't the best steel for you. You might want to upgrade to something a little bit nicer, like AUS 8 I don't know about 9CR. I haven't used it yet. Some guys say that it's a little bit better. I'd stay away from D2 because D2 performs very, very similarly to this in the Chinese knives. VG10 is another good one. Just spend a little bit of extra money if you use your knife a significant amount at all. So 8CR just doesn't seem like it's hard enough. It doesn't have the chemical composition to provide meaningful edge retention for significant use. And I do have to say I will not be doing this again. I won't be carrying 8CR for anything longer than a day or two if I ever have to use it again. I haven't carried this since, and honestly, I'm probably just going to end up giving this knife away because I have so many better options out there to carry at this point in time. So that's going to do it for me today, guys. I hope this video gave you guys some insight on what 8Cr13MoV is capable of. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like down below and subscribe to continue to see videos just like this one. I have more in-depth videos on steel coming up here in the near future with everything that I've picked up recently with the 10V. I got a Rex 45 Manix right now, and I just picked up a 4V Manix. So there is long-term projects coming up with all of those steels. Even though I've done Rex 45 again, we're going to give it even a longer run and see what it'll do. So subscribe to stay up to date on all that stuff. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.